Welcome back to another episode of the Main Quest podcast. This is, of course, the #1 retro gaming podcast that is all pipe and rash, no road. This is episode 106, and as always, I am your host, Keith. Before we talk to Chris about Road Rash, I'd like to take a minute and talk about all of the ways in which you can support the podcast. Whether it's following the show on social media, X, Blue Sky, Instagram, and I guess apparently my personal Facebook page that I haven't used in almost 10 years, but for whatever reason, Instagram automatically cross-posts anything that I put on there, so you can do that too. You can find all of the appropriate links on where to follow me in the show notes and keep up with what's going on with the show on the platform of your choice. Mark Zuckerberg is a wild man for putting my business out there. Now, you know what else is in the show notes? You know what really keeps this show alive? The Patreon and the lovely people who are, of course, subscribed to it. And they are getting access to uncensored episodes a week early, exclusive content like issues of my written reviews, simply called a review. Gotta keep it simple. Like the one dropping later this month on Risk System. You're also going to get access to a patron-exclusive series called Launch Protocol, where I am playing and ranking console launch games. It's been a lot of fun. And then, of course, there's other random episodes on there, including full-length episodes on games like Boyfriend Dungeon, Golden Sun, and most recently, Castlevania: Symphony of the Night, and a whole bunch more. Tiers start at only $1. And so, of course, drop on by patreon.com/the main quest and see if anything catches your eyes. And if you'd rather sit back and are content to listen to the main feed episodes here, hey, you're more than welcome to. And that helps just as much. But please, take a minute, send some feedback my way, rate and review the show wherever you can. And if you already have, let a friend know what you're listening to. There may be an episode on a game that they would like to hear about. And that is the housekeeping. Now, on to the episode proper. And I usually record these after I talk to the guest. But I'm recording this before my call with Chris, so I don't know how this episode went. But I'm sure it was great. I'm happy I can finally have him on for something a little left of center here, as he's been on episodes that primarily contain platformers like Sonic and Super Mario All-Stars, which is over on the Patreon, patreon.com/the main quest. So I'm pretty confident I know exactly how Chris feels about platforming games, but I don't know how he feels about racing games that aren't called virtual racing. But what about racing games where you can punch people? Road Rash sounds like it was invented in Florida. Speaking of which, I think there's a call incoming from Florida right now. I think it's Chris. So we're going to get this thing started. Rolling? Keep on rolling. I'll see you guys on the other side.
Couldn't imagine him putting a Super Mario World cart together. But I think he's done a Super Smash Brothers one. But I think no one cares as long as you're only selling 100, 200 copies.
And I wonder if it's a fan-made thing, I don't know how well that stuff holds up in court, or if they would even bother.
Yeah, what's Nintendo going to do? Please pay us $300? Like, even they have a cost, was it?
Yeah, because it's not like an actual recreation of something that they made. It's just like, well, it could be like IP use or something. I don't know. It'd probably be more than what we're talking about, but
yeah, for emulation, Nintendo can go after them all day because it's all hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
You had 1 million people visit your website. That means 1 million downloads of every single one of our games that we charge $5 on our eShop was downloaded. You cost us $300 million of profit.
And you could like track how many people actually go to like the Nintendo eShop, on their website or whatever. It's probably like a 5-to-1 ratio of like how many people actually visit each website. It's ridiculous. It's stupid.
Yeah, way more people are going to the eShop.
Let me properly introduce you. We're not here to talk about emulation and dubious homebrew carts and such. We're here to talk about something else that may be slightly dubious.
Yes. But
hey, Chris, welcome back to the
Hi.
show. You're one half of the Retro Hangover podcast.
I am. I'm so happy to be back. I feel like I was here not too long ago. This is probably the shortest break I've had on this show.
Yeah, that is true because also it's not a Sonic episode. So congratulations.
That too. Yeah.
Uh-huh. But it is a game where you do have to go fast. So
you do have to go fast. And you are blue sometimes. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, you can be. So yeah, I mean, this is your third time back on the show. We don't have to talk about your favorite game, although I do have to ask, is it still Streets of Rage 2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why that
My bad.
Great.
Oh, I don't know. People change. The last time I asked you that question was like in 2000. When did we record that? 2022? 2023?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It was a long time ago. So I don't know.
It was.
Maybe your favorite game is The Quiet Man. Huh. All of this is to say, we can just shoot the here and actually talk about what we've been playing lately, which is something I don't get to do with a lot of guests anymore. So what have you been playing?
Not a lot. I got a new job.
Mm-hmm.
And that means I now actually have to count the hours I'm at work, which really sucks. I'm used to being salaried and making my own schedule. I was spoiled for a very long time.
So you actually have to like chart, like make sure you don't go over, are you just doing, regular 40 hours a week?
Yeah, I guess. I'm trying to figure this out because the last time I had to track my hours, I was at McDonald's, but you just showed up. This was
right.
when this was 25 years ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
So you just showed up and you just punch your clock and then you go to work and you punch out, and that would be that. And now it's got to log into the computer and you have to put the exact moment you got into the building, unless you couldn't get into the building because of the stuff we have to do before you can get to the building. Then you pulled the time you got into the parking lot and it has to be the exact minute. I'm like, I'm just trying to make my 40 hours, man.
Are you serious?
What? Yeah.
Like, do you have to clock in as soon as you enter your car to leave to leave for work? Like
kind of.
That's insane.
I just don't know. Like I'm just trying to get used to it. Like, I don't want to get in trouble.
Mm.
I don't want to get you in trouble. And it's like, no, you have to get it down to the minute. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll try to get it down to the minute then. And so, yeah. And I'm trying to just manipulate it the best I can because I love manipulating rules and see how much I can stretch it before I get yelled at. But as long as I'm playing it safe, because I like this job, so I don't want to make it sound too crazy. But video game wise, Persona 4. Been trying to get some Persona 4 in. Persona 4 Golden specifically on the Switch, because our patrons of our show decided to be funny for us to play a 100-hour game. So I think I've gotten 13 hours into it. I have a long way to go. This is going to be painful.
The only way to get us back is by releasing a 100-hour episode.
Yes. Because that I know you'll all listen to that.
Hey, I mean, I would.
It's like
I've probably.
Yeah, I know you would.
I've probably easily listened to more than 100 hours of Retro Hangover.
Oh, I believe that. I've probably listened to more than 100 hours of the main quest at this point. I know I certainly listened to 6.
Yeah. God bless you, sir. Dude, I'm surprised a lot of people did. And I was like, because a lot of this stuff that I do, I'm like kind of doing it for me, or I'm just like, I don't know, I find this kind of funny or I find this interesting, so I'm just going to do it. And we're talking about the 5-year episode, dear listener.
Right.
And so I was like, I had that idea and I'm like, yeah, screw it. I'm just going to do it. If nobody listens to it, well, I know why, but yeah, it was incredibly popular. I'm very surprised, actually. Yeah, man. Persona seems like a franchise that is impenetrable. I have most of the games. I have not touched them.
I'm realizing it's a series. If you play it the first time you play it, it's great. And then every time, at least when I play it, it gets less great. It's like the flaws. I mean, we're going to be talking about this on the episode. I guess it's a little bit of a preview. The flaws that come out in the replay of the game are far more evident. And it's like, oh, wow. Will you all please shut the up? Like, there's your preview.
So it's very like, dialogue heavy.
You could say that. And if you know what happens, it's different.
Okay.
Like if you're trying to figure everything out, it's like, oh, cool. It's like a little mystery.
I think.
Yeah,
I think I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Maybe I gave too much away. I'll use Persona 5 as an example then, because I don't want to talk about Persona 4 because I give away too many things. I'll just talk about Persona 5 specifically. So do not apply this to Persona 4 Golden or whatever, people. If you happen to migrate over to my side or you say, oh, you gave too much away. The first time I beat that, I put it like 105 hours into it. And I was like, I really love this game. I'm going to go. I'm going to get the platinum trophy. So I get into the second playthrough and they have an option to speed up the dialogue. And I couldn't make it through. I couldn't get every trophy because there was a bug that made me miss one conversation that would allow me to get a quest to get the complete all quest trophy, which I don't know how I missed the first time, but I was pissed. Anyway, there was a time I literally sat there with the fast forward button on the entire time with the dialogue. And I think it was going for about 30 to 45 minutes.
That is Disco Elysium levels of narrative.
It's actually, I was actually say it's worse.
Oh no.
Because there's no getting out of it. They just keep talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. I'm like,
I mean, to be fair, Disco Elysium is literally just a book. So I mean,
it
makes sense.
But that's the thing. Like, that's what Disco Elysium is all about. You're thinking, I'm going to go explore dungeons and fight monsters and
right.
And you eventually get to that. But in real time, I didn't realize, oh wow, there were segments where about 2 to 3 hours of my life, I was just looking at dialogue and not doing anything. And that's fine the first time you experience it, but when you're just trying to go through to get trophies, and it just becomes, shut up, what? I don't care. Shut the up. I need to get to this next. Why are we still talking? So, because you know everything that will happen.
Yeah.
And you know how the flow of the game. It's like, why are you all asking these questions? You kids are stupid. I already know what happens.
You're not selling Persona to me. My allure to the franchise, well, at least to Persona 5 specifically, is just the style, man. It's got good style.
Oh, the style's great. It's a great style.
The soundtrack is great, but you're really not selling me on anything. Because I mean, I've been thinking about starting it, and of course, because of who I am, I'm going to start with the first game, which
of course
may or may not be a terrible idea, but
good.
But we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But that's kind of something.
The original PlayStation version, I imagine. You're not going to do no remakes here.
No, yeah, I'm going OG PlayStation. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have a great time.
Yeah, no lube. I'm not going to make it easy on myself.
No.
Yeah, for once I can kind of talk about something that I'm not covering on the show, which is Doom: The Dark Ages. I think I only have like 3 more chapters to go in that game, and I'm pretty sure I need to drop the difficulty level down because I am getting my ass rocked. Specifically by the Kako demons. So there's a parry ability in this game because it's a game made in 2025 and it has to have a parry in it. And it's like one of the main movement mechanics. So anyway, the Kako demons specifically never like leave you open to a parry ever. I'm a very aggressive player. I'm actually like, this little annoyance aside with the Kako demons, I'm loving the Dark Ages. I get aggressive with a Kako demon, man, and it just fucks me up. It can one-shot you, like, very easily. And then when I get some like space and I'm like, all right, come on, shoot me. Let me be able to like parry your shots and stuff. And it won't, like, wants you to be aggressive. But then like as soon as you get close to it, it kills me. So it's like, and there's like a lot of them towards the end of the game. So it's like obviously a very like end game type of enemy. Yeah. I mean, it feels really good to play. I'm having a really good time with it, but I need to finish it. I need to finish it so I can start on Final Fantasy IV. My Super Nintendo stuff is coming up very quickly, and Final Fantasy IV is like one of the first, like, I think 5 games that I have to cover. So, I want to be able to spend as much time with that as I can. So,
looking forward to that one, man. That's my favorite Final Fantasy.
I'm looking forward to recording it.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I talked about a Final Fantasy game on the show, so.
True.
Yeah. But other than that, I also played the game we're supposed to be talking about. I feel like I'm delaying the inevitable, but I don't know. I could be surprised.
That's a theme for your Sega theory, for your Sega portion of your show.
Yeah, kinda. You know, I'm gonna say, since I've come back, I think I've liked more of these games than I haven't.
That's probably true.
Like, there's some that I haven't recommended where I'm just like, yeah, this game sucks. Yeah. Don't play it. But like, because I'm a weirdo, I liked it. You know what I mean? So it's like,
I know some people you probably get along great with then. You should play The Quiet Man.
Oh, listen, I have wish listed it. And, that thing does not go on sale very often.
Probably not sold very often.
True. Somebody at Square Enix is like, wait, we haven't put The Quiet Man on sale yet?
That's one game if you pirate, Square Enix is like, yes.
Finally somebody's going to play it.
That's why it never goes on sale. They hope you just download
it. We should probably talk about Road Rage.
Road Rash?
Road Rage?
Rage?
See, well, we can talk about Road Rage, actually.
Oh.
Because that's a game I got on sale.
we could talk about Road Rage in real life, too, if you want to just keep delaying.
That also. What I meant to say, Freudian slip, Road Rash. Talk about Road Rash. So, of course, we got to talk about our previous histories here. And I'll start out with you, Chris. What's your previous history with Road Rash?
I thought I had a pretty good personal history with this game. But then I've come to the realization that there are so many different versions of this game, and they're not the same. Because the version I played growing up, and I thought it was the original version because it looks a hell of a lot like this one, was the one for the Sega CD. And I had a friend that was somewhat local in the neighborhood. He had a Sega CD. He had a Model 1. So this is back when the Sega CD first came out. And he had Road Rash. And I would go and play Road Rash over at his house because it was like novel. And it was kind of fun. Like, it was that edgy 90s kind of vibe that was just 90s. You just, the whole entire kind of gross out humor. It was semi-violent, semi-edgy without being too over the top. He had some kind of metal music. And if you remember the Sega CD, or if you know, the Sega CD actually had licensed music, if I remember correctly. And so it played licensed music, more heavy rock.
I read somewhere that one of the versions had like Soundgarden on it and like Smashing Pumpkins. And
yeah, I think it's the Sega CD. If not, it might be the Sega CD and 3DO. They're all technically the same game, even though the Sega CD is vastly inferior to all of them. But that's the one I grew up playing. Now, when I was playing this in preparation, right before I was playing this in preparation, that's when I saw a video that said they were different. And I did not know that. I did not know they were that separate. Because, you have the Genesis. I'm sure you're going to go into this in development history, but you have the Genesis one and the Genesis sequel. And then the Sega CD, 3DO, PS1, and Saturn versions are all technically a different game, even though they're called Road Rash again, which is a horrible naming convention for the Sega CD.
It should be Road Rash CD.
You would hope so, because that does heavily indicate that it is the first one, and it's not. But that's my experience with it, is that I played that version, and I wouldn't say it's incredibly different. So yeah, and I really liked it as a kid. So I'm looking forward to talking about it today.
Well, I mean, going back to our Sonic CD episode, I mean, that was just kind of what the output on that add-on was. It was just, I don't know, we're not making any original games for this really, so let's just port our Genesis games to the CD.
Yeah.
A little more high quality, they can run better frame rate. Check out the soundtrack.
Yeah, it was mostly that. Mostly that. Enhanced soundtracks.
I wasn't really planning on bringing up the different versions. Obviously, I talk about the ports and stuff, but like beyond that, I mean, yeah, I think that's pretty important to bring up that there are just all these different versions floating around out there.
Yeah.
This was a game that I played at my friend's house all the time, my friend Max growing up. It was like games like this and like Revenge of Shinobi were like both like in and out of the console constantly. We were constantly going back and forth between those games. And I don't really have any like specific memories tied to this game other than we just like really played the crap out of it. And it's like you said, like it's the early 90s, man. I mean, we were like 10-year-olds, and so like nothing was cooler than ninjas and crotch rockets. Maybe like posters of Cindy Crawford and like Michael Jordan on the wall.
Yeah. If they're wearing biker jackets and beating the shit out of each other, it'd be even better.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I think Michael Jordan would probably kill Cindy Crawford if he had to.
Depends. Does Cindy Crawford know his bookie?
Oh, touche. But yeah, man, it's just a game that I play a lot. And like when I think about the Sega Genesis, like if I had to just name like 5 games off the top of my head, I'm going to name this, whether or not I recommend this game at the end of the episode or not. It's still like one of those games that's like almost synonymous with Sega for me, like early 90s Sega.
I would say that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of where I was sitting with it. Coming into this episode, I was actually really excited to replay it.
Same.
So full disclosure.
Yeah.
I was like, man, Road Rash rules. I can't wait to play this again.
I bought a physical copy for this episode just for you.
You did.
I did.
You did, with like the sexy little EA tab on the left side of the cart.
Yeah. Said, aren't we special? We're EA. We're totally not going to be scummy in the future.
Branding.
Yeah.
Remember this name.
We sure did.
Speaking of EA, let's talk about the development history here. Road Rash is a racing and vehicular combat game developed and published by Electronic Arts. The game was directed and programmed by Carl May of Maniac Mansion fame. It was designed by Dan Geisler, Randy Breen, and Peggy Brennan, with Ron Hubbard composing this version of the game's soundtrack. As we spoke to earlier, different versions, different soundtracks.
L. Ron Hubbard?
Yes.
Oh.
This game will convert you to Scientology if you play it.
Tom Cruise's favorite game is Road Rash.
I was just going to say that.
He does his own stunts.
He does, yes. I'm sure he's punched people off of motorcycles in those Mission Impossible movies.
Oh, I bet he has. I don't know. I haven't watched any since 2. I don't know.
I think I tried watching the first one like a couple years back, and I like ended up falling asleep.
Yeah, that's my general feeling with those movies. Sorry.
Like I didn't even see the scene where he drops from the ceiling. I didn't even get to that part.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Road Rash. I mean, this is like patient zero for EA, because the video game crash in the States here pretty much kind of like forced them. Well, didn't force them, but it scared them into strictly making like PC games for a while. And then, along comes this little company called Nintendo, right? And they're like, hey, we want you to make a video game. And they're like, oh yeah, we've been making all these sports games and stuff. So why don't we make a sports game for the NES? And that's kind of like how they were keeping themselves afloat. And, once they started programming this, it was supposed to be a Mario Andretti game, if I remember correctly. And I don't remember who it was. I don't know if it was May or Geisler, but they were not having any part of this NES development. The system was just too old at that point. So they were like, hey, look, Sega's got this 16-bit console. It looks like it's really good at making arcade games. Why don't we go make the game over there? Mainly because, again, I believe it was May who wanted to have like these believable mechanics, these racing mechanics. Like I think specifically it was like banking when you lean into the turn and make it like really feel like you're actually like banking around a corner.
Which would make sense because Super Hang-On did it really well.
Yeah, and that's basically what this game is. This game is just Hang-On or Super Hang-On. I don't. I think Super Hang-On came out after this, or maybe right around the same time. I don't remember.
I thought Super Hang-On was a launch game
for the Genesis. Maybe.
Yeah,
you could be right.
Yeah, because Hang-On came out for the Master System, which also does a really good job.
I mean, yeah,
with its scaling.
I just played Hang-On for Launch Protocol on patreon.com/the main quest. And I was really surprised at like how well that game plays. So yeah, I mean, I haven't played Super Hang-On. Again, this is just kind of like a conversion of basically those two games, and this is kind of where they got the idea for Road Rash. And when you play it, like it looks and basically feels like those games for the most part. So I mean, if you're familiar with Outrun, another good Sega racer.
That's another game that scales really well.
If you're familiar with Hang-On or Super Hang-On, I mean, you kind of know what you're going to get here. But the other thing too is the other programmer, Randy Breen, was like a huge motorcycle. He was a gearhead. Are gearheads, are those just specifically cars or motorcycles? I don't know.
I'm not the one to ask.
No, neither am I. So I could probably.
Yeah, I'm like, someone please change the oil for me.
Yeah, someone's really pissed off listening to this working on their car and or motorcycle. I'm not a gearhead, goddammit.
They're working on their Can-Am.
Their Cyber truck. Can you work on a Cyber truck?
I don't know.
I don't think it has anything in it. Are we talking about Road Rash still?
We might be.
The game, did you know the game took 2 years to make?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It took 2 years to make. The first 13 months was dedicated basically to, I think Geisler flexed his muscles because he was like, holy crap, the Genesis is so powerful, I can create the entire coastline of California. And so Road Rash was essentially like it used to be one big map. It's just one long track. And EA took it to CES in 1990, and nobody liked it. So another 7 months was spent basically making a bunch of changes to the game, which is where the fighting comes in. But yeah, development did not go very well.
That's actually pretty shocking. I mean, not the fact that they didn't like it.
Well, because it was just a straight up racing game that had none of the combat in it. The racers looked different.
What would be special about it at that point? Because Hang-On and Outrun had already done that. So it must have been not a very good arcade experience. Because they were arcade experiences where this one you just drive for an hour?
Yeah, definitely.
If you're doing the entire California coastline, I would probably get pretty bored too.
Yeah, I have to wonder if it was just separated by checkpoints or if it was like, because I can't imagine you just like turn on the game, start it, and you're just driving for, I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
Yeah.
That's a horrible idea. Yeah. But this is also back in Electronic Arts' not so evil days. This is when they're I think when they were pulling out ads, I don't know if you remember this ad, but when they asked, can a video game make you cry? A full 2-page advertisement where essentially they had this whole entire, it was like an article. They like wrote an article for an advertisement. And the banner, the big banner was, can a video game make you cry? And that was their mentality, Electronic Arts. They were actually trying to be video game artists. That's how they essentially viewed themselves. So if it could have possibly been, yeah, let's just make a game that's so powerful we can just drive up the California coast, almost like that Penn and Teller game that was just drive from like one location to another on the Sega CD. Something bus, I don't know, desert bus. I think that's what it's called. I could see that though. I could see them trying that, and then when they came back and be like, "This isn't very fun," they're like, "Aw, we have to actually gamify this." I have no idea if that's the truth, but it's making sense in my mind.
I mean, it's quaint when you talk about this era of EA. Like, they actually cared enough to go back and almost rework the entire game.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, these days, they're just like, no, deal with it. Give us your money.
Yeah, and this was something I wanted to talk to. I don't know what section I would talk to about it, but you could see that pride that they had in the people that were making the game. Because when you boot up this game, it has the credits right there in the front, and it tells you everyone who worked on it underneath the title. That's not an EA move today, at least. That's not something they would do.
Well, there's a little bit of an EA move with that. I don't have it in my notes here, but I remember reading something about, because if you even look at the box art, it has some of the designers and programmers' names on it. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh, cool.
Which I also thought was like weird, but I was like, oh, okay, you don't see that very often. But then when I was looking into the development of the game, I might be getting names mixed up. On the box art, I believe it says Dan Geisler, Randy Breen, and like Rob Hubbard on it. But this was technically Carl May's game. And so I want to say it was Randy Breen, through some weird loophole at EA, knocked Carl May's name off of the box and put his name on it. And so that was like,
that's scummy.
Yeah, some real, like, scummy is like the perfect word for it. Yeah, there's always got to be something a little weird with EA, right?
Of course.
But then, like, even to talk about, like, oh, we're trying to make like these artistic kind of games. The only other EA game that I have talked about,
Poltergeist.
Yeah, Poltergeist. Exactly. That's where I was getting to. Yeah, the only other game I talked about was Poltergeist. That's a weird game. Very unique for its time.
They were taking risks. Yeah.
And like you're definitely not getting that now. So
no, not from them.
No, and it's also like not a sports game, which is even strange. No. Even more strange. Let's just wrap this up because there's really not anything else to talk about. Road Rash. It was released in September 1991 for the Genesis and the Mega Drive. It was released a year later in 1992 in Japan for the Mega Drive as well. Since then, here comes all the ports. It has been ported to the Amiga Master System and the Sega Game Gear. There was a Super Nintendo port that was being developed apparently, but that was ultimately dropped. Road Rash, again, hey, followed up by 2 sequels, Road Rash 2 and 3, and then, of course, all the spin-offs that we talked about for PlayStation, Sega CD, N64.
I forgot there was a 3.
3DO, and yes, there were 3 of them. I also found out, I think in the PlayStation version, there was a character named, I think his name is like Milwaukee Daryl or something like that. So, hey, we're on the map. I think it said his character bio, he's a drug addict, which I'm like, yeah, okay. Great. The developer, Maximum Entertainment, they attempted to create a spiritual successor to Road Rash with the 2017 game Road Rage. Let me tell you something. This game was on sale. It is, first of all, it was, when it came out in 2017, it was a full $50 release. It is now goes for $20, but it was on sale for $2. So I bought it because I gotta do it for the pod, right? I gotta like, of course, really see how far like this idea of Road Rash has come and how it has influenced this developer, Maximum Entertainment, to basically try to revitalize the genre, right? I think $2 was too much for this game. This game sucks. It might be the worst game that I played this year.
It's someone's favorite game, though.
It's okay to like a video game. Like, I thought Sonic R was gonna I was like, this is it. Like, this is probably going to be the worst game I play.
Oh, you didn't like that game?
Road Rage is like, I have no words. I almost feel like I should drop a written review on Road Rage.
You should.
It is, everything about it is, the writing is horrible. It goes through, the game has a story.
Oh, good.
It's post-apocalyptic. I forgot what the city's called. It's not, they don't even use a real city name because they're like, we can't be sued. We can't afford to be sued. No. So
the city would be so upset they'd sue them.
These gangs are so dangerous they steal your girlfriends.
Oh no.
Which is a line in the game.
Now, these gangs do whatever they want. They take your money, your TV, and your girlfriends. They are bad to the bone.
What are we even what?
Dude, this game sucks. It sucks so bad, and it like makes me like.
Is that a story point?
Yes. Why not?
What?
What is this game? And then like you touch anything, and like your bike explodes. You just clip through buildings.
So not buildings. If you touch a building, it's fine.
If you touch a building, it's fine.
But if you hit
any racers or
roadkill,
it's such a train wreck. Like you almost are like, I want to see how bad this gets. And like every time it just gets worse and worse. Like it keeps topping itself somehow. Did
the game crash though?
Okay, I wish it did. Cause then I could have been at least like, okay, well, I'm not turning this back on.
So for as bad as it is, it's still more stable than the Oblivion remake.
Shots fired. But this came out in 2017, so maybe it had, several years of patches, yeah.
Yeah.
The Maximum Entertainment cared enough about the product that they patched it. Even though, like, you could just, it's nearly unplayable, but they patched it so it didn't crash.
Well, all they're doing is stealing your girlfriend. They're not murdering people or robbing things. They're just stealing girlfriends.
But like and
taking them to Buc-ee's.
And on the border.
In their Teslas.
Review scores for context. Computer and Video Games gave Road Rash 91%, and GamePro.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Road Rash.
Gave it a perfect 20 out of 20. And Doom Guy on Google. Surprised he had time to play this game in between killing demons and whatever the hell he's doing in Dark Ages.
Parrying.
Yeah, he gave it a perfect 5 out of 5 and says that this is the best game I ever played. Way better than Mario Kart. Never got bored playing it. The nostalgia is strong with this one. And you know what, Chris? I never realized how many people spell Mario Kart as one word until I went on Google to look for reviews for Road Rash because people bring up Mario Kart a lot.
Okay, so what's worse, spelling Mario Kart as one word or spelling Mario Kart with a C?
Is that like a European thing?
I don't know. I'm just saying, if you saw it, which one would turn you off more?
Yeah, I think spelling Mario Kart with a C is incredibly disturbing for some reason. It's unsettling. I don't like it. I do not like it. But you know what I do like, Chris?
What do you like?
I like it when people write into the show, about their retro recollections. This is the part of the program where you, dear listener, get to weigh in on the game that we're talking about tonight. I swear we're going to talk about it. And if you want to be part of future segments of the podcast, come join the public Discord. It's true. It's there. Or you can follow the show on whatever social media platform that you prefer, and just keep your eyes and ears out for what I have coming up on the podcast. Links are, of course, in the show notes of the very app that you're listening to this on. I hope to hear from you. And so, of course, we start with the Discord. I think these are only Discord comments. We've got B. Ross from Super Garbage Day.
Coin noises.
Who says, this game is criminally difficult in later stages, especially Part 2. Of the franchise, I adore Road Rash 64 the most. It blends the right amount of silliness with difficulty and progression, even though it looks pretty awful. Thank you, B. Ross. Next we have Soups. Never in my life have I ever wanted to do a death race whipping chains at other bikers. Until now. Thank you, Soups. Masked Keaton says, rented this once, and it was amazing. Seek Ye Wisdom says, Road Rash 1 will always be my favorite. It's a simple, straightforward racing game with the ability to physically beat down your opponents. Absolutely amazing. I love the music. The mechanics are cut and dry. No special skills required. Whenever I want to Road Rash, it's always the OG. Stay Sega, my friends. Thank you, Siki. And finally, we have Van Ferno, who says, ESPN Extreme Games, less than or greater than sign, Road Rash. Isn't ESPN Extreme like an extreme sports game that came out prior to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater?
Yes, it was also, what is it? It was Sony's best-selling first-party produced game.
Did it have licensed music in it as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to double check.
Yeah. No, I mean, I understand, because no games like that at all existed prior to Tony Hawk.
Yeah,
I've been told.
Yeah.
And
I thought
licensed music had never existed either.
No, and definitely not in Road Rash in 1992.
No.
For the Sega CD.
No. Didn't happen.
Speaking of things that didn't happen, let's get into the story and plot of Road Rash. Chris, what if I told you that Road Rash was about a rivalry between our character, Fang, and another character named
Fang.
Polygon?
I would say that's pretty stupid.
Okay. So you didn't call me a liar, so hey, perfect.
Okay. So wait, you're not lying then?
No, that is straight from the manual. I mean, I didn't write everything down verbatim, but
Polygon?
Yeah, that is our person who, I guess that this is where Baby Road Rage got it from. Who steals your girlfriend? Yeah.
Now we're talking about Road Rage again?
This is where they had to have gotten the idea.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what is in the manual, and I'm assuming that we are the character Fang. I would have never been able to tell you that by just playing this game.
No, because you can name your character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that is mentioned in the game that is also in the manual is the character Natasha. There is a character named Natasha in the game. And in the manual, she's just, another racer or whatever, which she is, But yeah, this Fang and Polygon thing, I don't know. I guess they needed to create something to at least set up why these people are racing.
That would explain why they have these weird story vignettes in between races or before you race, like a loading screen. Yeah. It's like, oh, you can't trust Biff. And then Biff's like, I'm the best dude on the planet. You can trust me. And then the cops are like, yeah, don't let me catch you.
Yeah, and then like towards the end, you get like this one character who's just like, I'm going to eat your face. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, all right, dude. I when I saw the vignettes that you're talking about, I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever. Like, this is just that 90s attitude that they're kind of going for. whatever.
That's what I thought too.
I didn't think it like took away from the game. I didn't really think it added anything to the game necessarily. But then when I looked in the manual and it was like, Polygon took your girl and now it's up to you to like race and win back her heart or whatever. I'm just like, what?
Who's organizing this shit? Like who has the money to front for this? Polygon steals your girl, and is he sponsoring the race? Is he a multi-billion? Like, how much money does this dude got?
I think this is sponsored by Dr. Robotnik because I think the emeralds are somewhere hidden in this race.
You have to explore.
Right, you just have to explore the track. And if you collect enough emeralds, you can become Super Fang and beat the shit out of Polygon and get your girl
Super
back.
Super Fang does sound like somebody hanging out at a furry convention.
Isn't Fang a Sonic character? Isn't there a character named Fang?
So. I think he's like a purple dude with a cowboy hat.
Yep, totally is.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting down and dirty, you want to jump into this gameplay? Do you have anything else on the story?
No, I didn't. I don't even know why there is one.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll just set it up here real quick. It's pretty simple. There aren't laps like your traditional racing games. It's basically a straight shot drag race from point A to point B. There's 5 stages, which get more challenging the further you get, bringing the total up to, I think it's 25 stages. The stages don't change. There's like 5 base levels.
No.
And the tracks just get harder.
And longer.
Yeah.
And faster.
Progress in Road Rash is basically made by collecting prize money and pretty lenient as far as what they consider winning a race. I think you have to win 4th or better, if I remember right. And then you...
It's 4th or 5th, because I've never finished 5th. I mean, I have finished 5th. I've never finished 4th. And 5th, like, nothing happens. Just kind of laughs at you.
And that basically awards you the money and you get to upgrade your bike. And that's just kind of how you progress. So with that said, so how do you think Road Rash plays?
Oh God. So, I mean, this is going to kind of bleed over into the graphical presentation, but there's a reason I brought up Hang On. And that's because if you play Super Hang On for the Sega Genesis, or you play Outrun, or even if you play Hang On for the Master System, the scrolling is smooth. It feels smooth. Like everything runs really well. And from what I recall Super Hang On being a launch game or really close to launch for the Sega Genesis. So the technology was there for scaling. Now, of course, they were wizards of the super scale games. They knew their hardware better than everybody. And I think it was even plainer. Like they didn't have a lot of environmental factors, if I remember correctly. I could be off on that. And I don't think they had hills either, but I know Outrun does. And that was pretty smooth. And the thing is that the choppiness makes the racing a lot more difficult. Maneuvering around the track because of how choppy it is makes it not as fun as it probably should be, especially when you consider like there's very traditional traffic rules. And if you stay on the right side, nothing's going to come and hit you. But if you're going over the hill and it's choppy and you don't know what's coming, you can get hit by oncoming traffic, causing your bike to fly. And there's no real way to prevent that other than just staying on the right side of the road. Also, sometimes the choppiness, going back to the choppiness and the weird control scheme, you could be trying to make a turn and be on the right side of the screen and all of a sudden see your character just shoot over to the left side. Or vice versa for no reason. So there definitely seems to be a lack of optimization in terms of graphical presentation, or they just didn't completely understand what the Genesis could do. which is understandable because Western developers, by and large, at this time had problems with console development. I think there were very few exceptions that really could tap into the power of these consoles the way it needed to. But when it works, though, when it does work, it feels fine. You can, like, turning doesn't feel bad. Again, I think racing games prior to this played a lot better. But attacking is all over the place, but it's still satisfying. Like punching someone at the right time, at the right moment, knocking someone off their bike, and to see them in your rear view mirror, which is also nice to see. Some of this flying back. That is a satisfying, rewarding feeling, knowing that you don't have to deal with them anymore and landing that perfect punch. But aside from that, it has that Mario Kart rubber banding as well, where first place could be far, like, really far ahead, and you can catch up to them quickly. Granted, once you get to the second stage, which is as far as I can make it, sometimes first and second place, there was no catching up to them. But you could get up to them no matter how poorly you did in the first half of the race. You can get up to them in most cases and see them. You just couldn't catch up to them once you got to that point. There's this rubber banding, the controls all over the place. There is some satisfaction, but I just feel like it falls short of what it could have been, considering what came before it. And I think that what you told me with it starting development back in 1989, which is when the Genesis launched, which technically makes this more around of a launch game, that makes more sense. That makes more sense. But I still go back to those Sega Superscalers that were on this system, and I think that this game could have controlled a lot better. And a lot of it just comes down to the choppiness and the overall presentation, which I'm sure we'll get into later as well.
Yeah, I mean, I mostly agree with pretty much everything you said. Like, as far as how it feels and how that relates to how the game looks, it definitely feels like there's just like frames missing from the animation, like while you're playing it. Like the frame rate is pretty poor, but like
it's probably about 12 frames per second.
When you play it long enough, though, you kind of stop noticing it. Well, maybe that's not right. It's pretty prominent throughout, but I think like a lot of the obstacles, and I don't know if this is part of what you were talking about with just the hardware limitations and things just seemingly like appears out of nowhere, which it gets really annoying later on, like when you're actually trying to win. Like the first couple of times, like I remember like the first time I played the game, and I was crossing an intersection and a car just happened to be crossing the intersection at the same time, and it hit me and I flew off my bike. Like I legitimately laughed. Like it was pretty funny because I was like, okay, this is why I like this game. But then like when you're actually trying to compete, that can get very annoying. And as you continue it on with the game, there's more and more obstacles coming. And because it is so hard to, and I don't know if the frame rate has anything to do with this or the choppiness of the gameplay has anything to do with the turning and like banking. Part of me feels like that's just like a memorization thing, like where you would have to just basically a little bit of that. Have to memorize a track in any other racing game, like I talked about in virtual racing, where it's like you pretty much have to play these tracks over and over again to really get anywhere. The problem with Road Rash specifically is that all these tracks basically look the same. So like if you play Pacific Coast at the beginning of the game, Pacific Coast is still going to look like Pacific Coast 4 stages down. You know what I mean? Like, well,
it's the same stage.
Exactly. But there's like,
it's just longer. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's no map. There's no landmarks or anything to tell you like where you really are. And so like the memorization thing, very hard to do in a game like this. And so it's like, oh, there's a turn coming up. Yeah, I know. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, maybe it is a frame rate issue. You're just like, oh, there's a turn coming up. By the time you actually bank in that direction of the turn's already happening. And so that's when I think what you were talking about, when your racer just slides all the way too far to the other end, and then you've got to straighten yourself out because the turn's already over, and then you fling to the other side. And so I think in a lot of ways, the controls feel a little slippery. Like I never really felt like I had too much control over how the bike was
the turns,
turning.
Especially in the turns, yeah. Like when it's straight, it's fine.
Yeah, but I feel anytime I have to turn, it just feels like I'm like overcompensating, even though all I did was tap on the D-pad. And yeah, I mean, as far as like the combat mechanics go, I mean they're fine for what it is. And I agree, it is satisfying to like knock somebody off of their bike and know that they're like, once you knock somebody off their bike, they're not coming back. They're out of the race. So
no,
which is like,
but they're not though.
They're not. Am I misconstruing this with Road Rage again?
Yeah, I think you're construing it with Road Rage. There were times I would punch people off the bike, but much like you, if you get back on the bike, they regain their health. So if you're struggling at a certain part, like let's say this happened to me when I was up in like 3rd, 4th place, and I was trying to get to 1st and 2nd. There'd be people I'd knock off the bike in that area, and then I'd run into a car, and then those same racers would come back. But you'd see their health recharge, like just like your health would if you got attacked.
Yeah, I maybe I just don't remember that.
Yeah, they'll come back much like you would.
Okay.
And that's the other thing is I realized like the other bikers do a pretty job of attacking you.
Yeah, I never had a issue of any. I mean, I ran into enough stuff that like they probably didn't even need to worry about hitting me. But yeah, they're not very aggro.
No, the only one that is the one that has the baton that you can pick up.
I do have to ask you. I mean, speaking of, I mean, there's cops in this game.
Yeah,
they're one of the obstacles. Did you ever get arrested in this game?
No,
neither did I. That was something that I read when
I
was reading up on like the mechanics and stuff like that, where it was like, oh, you can get arrested by cops, which is like one of the things that they added in this game. I don't think that ever happened, but you can punch a cop. So there's that.
Nothing happens to them though.
No.
Like they can't go off their bike. I think it's more of a, if you wreck in front of a cop, I think you're going to get it. I just never wrecked in front of a cop because one of the tips in those in between game segments, I think it was from Natasha. She's like, yeah, make sure you save enough money so you can pay for wrecks and fines. And I never wrecked enough where I had to pay for bike repairs.
So here's my other problem.
Yeah.
Wrecking, depending on how fast you're going, is a pain in the ass because you have to run all the way back to your bike. So if you like literally like fly halfway across the track, you also have to you have to make up all that ground and by running back to your bike, which, and like the animation and stuff, like running back to your bike and the animations of even you getting like flung off your bike, pretty cool. It looks great, but it's really annoying.
Your character runs really fast though.
Yeah. For somebody who like, just got flung off their bike at like 200 miles an hour.
Yeah. He's running at Olympic speeds when you consider how far that bike is away from him. Like you're talking about 2-3 seconds. He's at a mad sprint.
I will say, like, I randomly wrecked on my bike and crossed the finish line. They totally counted it, which was insane.
That's the way to do it. Like, that is the way to do it.
I'm like, no, I'm right there. I'm right there. And it was just like, oh, you placed 3rd. I'm like, I placed 3rd. Okay, great.
Yeah,
fantastic.
That is cool. That is cool.
Upgrading your bike is like a monkey's paw because in one hand, the further you get into the game, like you have to upgrade your bike. Like you're just not going to be able to keep pace. Your bike's not going to be fast enough. So you need that upgrade. In the other hand, because of how choppy the gameplay is and how souped up the other bikes are, those bikes feel even worse to play with than the one you start with. Mm-hmm. So that was the other thing where I was just like, man, I want to just like use the regular bike, but like I'm like placing last place like every single time.
So hold on, how are you? When did you replace your bike?
Oh, as soon as I could.
When was the first time you replaced your bike?
Yeah, as soon as I could.
Okay, so was that level 2? Because I know there's 5 levels.
Yeah, I think there's So yeah, it would have been like level quote unquote like I guess the second ladder of the tournament or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's probably like technically 7 levels in. So like the second level of that second.
Yeah. So that that's part of my frustration here, and that's something I did kind of talk about before. So in the first level, the first set, ladder, whatever you want to talk about, the shortest length races, you start out with the basic bike, and you can run through all those 5 races, and you have to work to get first place. It's not a gimme, but you can relatively make your way up there. You make it to the next level, you get a bike upgrade. And it's not like there's a ton of bike upgrades. I didn't get the very next one.
There's like 6. I thought there was a lot.
But there's at the next level, there's like 3 bikes you could possibly pick.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I get you. Yeah.
I think it either got the middle or the top one. So there's not that many bikes above this. I'm on level 2. And the very first race I play, I get up to 3rd place, and I'm at 3rd place midway through the level. And I just keep driving. I'm not wrecking, but I'm never seeing 2nd or 1st place. This isn't the default bike. This is not the next level up. This is either 2 levels up or 3 levels up from the initial bike. And I can't even see 1st place. Like, what is going on? Like, what is the difficulty curve? What does the game expect from me? I upgraded. I should at least get up to 1st place. It just shouldn't be I'm all the way back and not even able to catch up. So I'm not sure what the difficulty curve is. It just seems to be random.
Yeah, it's a good question. I wonder if, because I certainly didn't, like at some point, even in the first ladder of the first set of stages, I wasn't placing first. I may have placed first, out of 5 of those, maybe twice. And I wonder if that's something that they realized where they're just okay, the AI is a little too difficult. And so that's why maybe they dropped it down where it's just well, if you place 5th or better, you're going to get some money. And so that's when Road Rage, honestly, that's also the other part, kind of turns into a grind, because to get further into the game, you have to basically grind for money. Unless you're getting first, I don't know how much money you get for 1st place. Probably a lot more.
It varies depending on what ladder you're on. So as you make it further in the game, you get more money.
Yeah. So, I mean, I assume if you're placing first in every level, you're probably going to be upgrading your bike pretty easily. Obviously, I didn't get that far. I only had enough money to basically upgrade my bike once. And was kind of running into the same problems as you. I did not, quote unquote, beat Road Rash. But I got through the 2nd set of stages. And that's kind of where I was this game, no pun intended, ran out of gas for me.
No, I would agree. And because the other part is that the levels don't really change. They just get longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you kind of said this earlier too. The levels don't have much of differing personalities. Mm-hmm. I think there's only one, there's one level that's sandy. And then the rest of them are just, they all kind of look and feel the same. There's nothing that really gives any of these tracks personality. So it's just okay, play this boring track again, but now it's 2 miles longer. Great. It doesn't feel shorter. I'm not getting anything more out of it. It's just more time I have to worry about trying to get up into the top 3 or 4 places. And if you can beat this game with getting into the top 3 or 4 places the entire time, I mean, wouldn't that feel incredibly hollow? What are you accomplishing?
I could see this game having longevity in the 90s. For what it's worth, I was having a pretty good time. I was kind of frustrated at times, but overall, I don't want to grind for these other bikes because I'm just going to basically be playing the same game the entire time. And this, by the way, this has not a battery backup in this cartridge. You have to use passwords.
Save. Yeah. It's 16 character save.
Yes.
And inputting them isn't easy. Because what is it? You have to use B and C in order to choose your character. One moving the letters forward, one moving it back. And you can only do them one at a time. It's not a keyboard, so it's very tedious.
But what I was about to say is what does it say about this game where it's I would rather just not put the password in, and if I ever want to play this, just play those first 5 tracks.
Yeah. And they control better too.
And then just be done with it.
Yeah. So you know what this reminds me of in a way, in terms of a game philosophy? It's almost like NBA Jam. Because in NBA Jam, you kind of have to put in your initials, your date. I think you get a password in the original NBA Jam or Tournament Edition. If I remember correctly, I might be wrong. But then it would save your progress, and you could play a season mode if you wanted to play the season mode. But ultimately, you don't go to NBA Jam to play one player. No one is, there are people probably out there who's like, yeah, I love the season mode and I'm happy for you. But most people liked playing NBA Jam with their friends. Getting the friends together, just having a stupid, dumb time, and then turning it off and getting back to it later. And yeah, there's this first player experience that I think it's there because that was video games at the time. You needed to justify someone with no friends buying it and playing it because gamers. And what it really comes down to is this a game that's more fun to play with somebody else? And the answer to that's yes, because it's just a stupid, dumb time where you can do stupid, dumb things.
Yeah, this game kind of does a little bit of overreaching, because when I talked about Virtua Racing, which is a great game, by the way, Chris.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's a game
for the Saturn.
It's a game that knows exactly what it is. It's not to say that Road Rash has an identity crisis. I think it knows exactly what it is and what it's trying to do.
No, it has no identity crisis. None.
But like Virtua Racing has 5 tracks. Well, it either has 3 tracks or 5, depending on what you're playing. It's so you know exactly what you're going to get when you play it. It's 3 tracks, 5 tracks, whatever. That's it. We're going to race around in a circle, do these like 3 laps or whatever, in and out. We mentioned earlier, this is an early, practically a launch release.
Yeah.
It could have just been those 5 tracks, and that's it.
Yeah.
It didn't need to go further than that.
No, it didn't. I think this game is really the entire thing circles around the novelty of being able to beat people up on your bike and kick people off. That's where the novelty lies. And watching, the fly off. It's not the racing. I don't think anyone really gives a shit about the racing. I think it comes down to, it's really fun knocking people off the bike, grabbing the baton. I would say beating up the cops, but you can't do that in this one for whatever reason. And then once you get your jollies out, once you've experienced it all, you put it right back down. I actually think this would have been a better experience if they had made this. They took those first 5 tracks, but they did it more like a hang on or an outrun, where like you hit a checkpoint and then you progress to the next area, depending on how fast you are. Or you could kind of do it how, this might be it. This is a deep cut. Or maybe you've played it. Have you heard of Victory Run for the TurboGrafx?
I've heard of it. I haven't played it though.
And other games have done this too, but you drive through an area, and then once you get to the end of the area, you get your mini cash prize, and then you could use that to repair your vehicle, add upgrades, and then you go to another arcade-like area. I think if they did it that way, I think it would have been more enjoyable, because it is very jarring when you get done with one of those tracks, and it's just like, okay, you can play another one. But if you get 6th place, you don't really get penalized. You can just go back and play that track again until you get first. And you can play it over and over and over again. There's no flow to it. It's just like, yeah, eventually get first in all these races and you win. Which works for some games, because I think some Gran Turismo games are like that. For the beginner cups, at least. Where you can win the cup if you just keep playing them over and over again until you get first in all of them. Which is kind of what it's doing here. But this isn't that type of game. This is deeply rooted in the arcade experience, and it seems like it's trying to run away from it for whatever reason, which doesn't make sense.
Guess what, Chris?
What's that?
You get a game today.
Yes.
All on your own.
Oh, yes.
Nobody to share it with.
Sweet.
You did win the last time you were on, by the way. So
I did.
If you
I did.
Yeah. This is a game that I would like to call Whose Rash Is It Anyway? So earlier we talked about the vignettes and the dialogue that we get from the characters in this game. I have selected a few lines from Road Rash and a couple of lines from the Fast and Furious franchise.
Oh, God.
I will read the line, and all you have to do is guess if it's from Road Rash or Fast and Furious.
Okay.
Pretty simple stuff. You ready?
Yeah, I've only watched one Fast and Furious movie, maybe two.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see how well you do. I think you're going to get this first one.
Okay.
Do you believe that Biff dude? Man, what a mouth.
I already referenced this already. Yeah. This is Road Rash.
Yep, absolutely correct. Yes, sir. Said by Slater, by the way.
Totally. That was Natasha.
Totally 90s name here.
Skater dude. Mm-hmm. He's Tony Hawk's father.
Right. He was probably in that ESPN Extreme game.
That never existed.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Line 2. Time to unleash the beast.
That's it?
Yep.
That's Fast and Furious.
Correct.
Yes, got the sound effect. Shout out the secret levels.
Yeah, there you go. Line the 3rd. We're gonna ride with the next gang. Bigger risks for bigger bucks.
For the next gang. That makes me think Fast and Furious.
I'm sorry, Chris.
That
is Road Rash. That is our girl, Natasha.
Ew. There are no gangs. This is stupid. Okay, let's go.
Line number, I forgot what line we're on. The next one.
The 4th.
Thank you. Don't let her name fool you. Angel is no saint.
There are no angel racers. Is there in Road Rash? Is there Angel in Road Rash? I'm trying to remember all the people I punched. Is Angel one of them? I'm going to go Road Rash.
That is correct. It is said by Akira, but spelled with an I. The next one is, it don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning.
That sounds like Fast and the Furious, but I think I remember reading that in Road Rash. That's Road Rash.
It is said by our boy Vin Diesel.
See, I haven't watched these movies, man.
In fact,
That's what happens.
The other Fast and Furious, are these all Vin Diesel? They're all Vin Diesel except for one. All right. The next line. That's the thing about street fights. The street always wins.
I'm going to say Road Rash. Damn it.
There's another Vin Diesel line.
He hasn't said family once. I'm not believing you.
Do you know how hard it was to find a quote that didn't have the word family in it? Next line. You don't have to worry about me fighting dirty. I'm a sportsman.
Oh, yeah, that's Biff. That's Road Rash.
You got all of that correct. Let's see here. Next line. Streets closed. Find another way home, pizza boy.
Oh, that's Fast and Furious.
That is Fast and Furious. Sounds like you saw that one. Was that the one you saw?
Yeah, probably. It was the dead guy who said it.
That was not Vin Diesel. It was a character named Leon, apparently.
Leon?
Leon! Shoot those barrels on that wagon! Look, there's a crank over there. Look, there's a gate here. Look at the ceiling. The door's locked. I can't open it. I opened it, Leon.
Jesus. The next line. Superior technique, Speedmeister. Time to fry bigger trout.
Because the word Speedmeister's in there, I have to say Road Rash. That is a 90s ass word.
Yeah, 100%. Said by Slater, whoever that is.
Tony Hawk's father.
Tony Hawk's.
We already established it.
Tony Hawk's pro Slater. Last one here. Life's simple. You make choices and you don't look back.
Vin Diesel says that in Fast and Furious.
Absolutely. Chris, you got, out of 10, you got 7, dude.
Nice.
Congratulations. You passed another trivia segment. How does it feel? And this one didn't involve smut.
No, it didn't.
Are you surprised?
Actually, yes. Yes, I didn't have to think about how
I don't have friends. I got family.
A child would think.
Oh, Jesus. That has been Whose Rash Is It Anyway? Presentation. Chris, what do you think about the graphics, the music, and the sound effects of Road Rash?
If I put myself in the mindset that this, I mean, I've already kind of alluded to the choppiness, but if I put myself in the mindset this is a 1989 Genesis game, it's okay. It's okay. But I think, as I've also said, this isn't as good as Sega's scalar effort games, but I do feel like they're trying to be a little bit more ambitious. So I don't want to come down on it too hard. I think graphically, visually, it's okay. It does have that kind of washed out Genesis look to it, where it looks like it's not using color as well as it could. Like, everything's darker for some reason just because it's on the Genesis and not in a good way, which I hate to say, but it definitely looks like a Western developed Genesis game, if that makes sense. Like, it's not at the level that like a Japanese developed game was, especially a Sega led one, like their top titles. But it does, like, that washed out view is definitely very common among a lot of Sega games, and it's definitely on display here. Music, I think the composition is good. I think how it's composed, how it's written on paper is good. How it sounds, however, is not good. I guess I got used to it. I think there's 2 or 3 tracks in this game, and every single time I'm like, oh my God, you tried. I could tell you tried. But it's not. I did not think it was good. I did not think it was good. I didn't think the sound effects were that good either. For that matter, they like the only thing you hear is when it skids. I don't know if I'm thankful. I'm probably thankful. I'm going to say I'm probably thankful you don't hear the engine running the entire time, because they would probably screw that up. So thank you for not having that annoying buzz going the entire race, because that would have been a horrible decision. But no, it doesn't sound good at all. The sound direction in this is actually pretty fucking terrible. And, if they used better use of the sound chip, because it is possible. Yuzo Koshiro did it. So a lot of other people did it. They were all in Japan, but a lot of other people did it, and they did not do it. It's one of those, like, obvious use of the GEMS sound card. And if they didn't use it, I would be shocked, because it definitely sounds like a third-rate effort that was probably started on a Master System sound card, which it kind of is. But yeah, it graphically is just okay. It has this typical kind of, medium effort Western developed signatures on it, which isn't a compliment. And the sound is just atrocious.
Yeah, I'm gonna pretty much agree with everything you said. I mean, visually, kind of like the game itself, I kind of just grew tired of what the game was bringing me visually. Again, that just has a lot to do with the lack of variety. And then I was looking at screenshots of Super Hang-On, which in comparison looks really gorgeous. Whereas, like, yeah, you look at Road Rash and it's exactly what you said. It's kind of dark, a little muddy looking, a bit washed out. The background's a little washed out. And like what they were pulling off here is actually like, they're doing like some magic underneath the hood to get everything running. I mean, the fact that you have the side mirrors on the HUD and you can see the racers like
impressive.
Moving behind you and stuff, like that's pretty cool for what they were able to pull off like that early in the console generation. So like, I think they were able to like pull a lot of stuff out of like the 5 tracks that they had, but there was kind of, again, no need to go any further with those tracks at all. And as far as like the sprites go, the sprites look really good. Nice big bold sprites. And when it comes to the soundtrack, I've been in it, man. I've been in it. I've been playing a lot of Sega games. So like initially my knee-jerk reaction was like exactly how you were. How you just were. I was like, man, this sucks. Like, oh my God. But then I'm like thinking back to like some of the other stuff that I played, like Batman Returns or X-Men, or Tasmania, which might be hands down like the worst soundtrack for any Genesis game that I've covered on this show. And I'm like, is this as bad as those games? That's like what I'm comparing this to. No, but also it's not good. And also like,
no,
the one thing I'm surprised you did not bring up.
Okay.
Was like the music in this game is sometimes very quiet, but then also it's very loud sometimes. Like after
I didn't notice that.
After you finish a race, the victory music was like like it dude, it's so loud. I'm just like, why is this the loudest thing in this game? But like the rest of the tracks are just like, they're for the most part fine, but there are some cases where like it's also like really quiet, where almost I was like, is there any music playing at all?
I didn't experience that.
Oh, really?
Like I didn't experience any of that. No, I actually, maybe I just was too into the race. That's also a possibility. But I remember actually like the sound consistency, for as much as I hate using that word here, but the sound consistency was pretty good. Like I didn't have any variances in volume. I actually thought that I didn't have that problem. I don't remember having that problem.
Okay.
More
Interesting.
accurately. I think by that point I didn't really want to listen to the music anyway. So I think if it did go down,
it's very repetitive.
I didn't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't really sound that different between the various tracks either. I didn't think.
I mean, if you told me there was more than 3 tracks in this game, I would be very surprised.
Yeah, Sam.
And the sound effects, I could take or leave it. I don't think they're terrible. You mentioned
there's not a lot of them either.
No, you mentioned the bike skidding around corners or whatever. That has that like iconic, what I like to call like the metallic dot matrix printer sound, which is like, was very prominent on X-Men when I reviewed that game. It's like, I think it's supposed to be like, in this case, it's supposed to just sound like a tire squealing almost. But like, I think in a lot of games, they use that specific sound effect to like emulate a power chord on a guitar or something. Yeah. It's that exact same sound effect. So it's like, as soon as I heard that, I'm like, yeah, I've heard this sound effect before. So,
but I know you've been through it, but you have covered one. I haven't heard the other episode yet, because maybe you haven't covered it yet. In fact, I'm pretty sure you haven't covered it. But you talk about the games you have covered that you've used the GEMS engine, I guess, for sound. But I also think of 2 games that have used the GEMS engine and sound. I can think of 3 actually off the top of my head and sound a lot better. 2 of them you've played and covered on the show: Earthworm Jim, Comic Zone, and Sonic Spinball.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, I recently played Comic Zone, so that's fresh in my mind.
Yeah,
I do remember saying I didn't like the soundtrack on the actual hardware.
Right.
Comparatively to this,
it's a lot better.
Yeah. Yes. And Earthworm Jim, that soundtrack, I'm pretty sure I hated that too.
Yeah. You didn't
like
think
that
back
game. To it. I didn't like anything about that game. But yeah, I mean, like, this is kind of par for the course for Western developed Genesis soundtracks and stuff, even graphic wise.
Yeah.
Pretty much exactly what you said. So, I mean, you kind of know what you're going to get if you're familiar with that kind of stuff. It's either exciting or it's disappointing, I guess, depending on who you are. We gotta ask at least I gotta ask the question. Do you think we could recommend Road Rash in 2025? I'll go first. I'll go first. I feel. I felt like I was ready to like give a definitive answer. Like
you're like getting your soapbox ready, and all of a sudden it just kind of falls apart before you stand on it.
Yeah, because now I'm thinking about it. Like in a weird way, I do think Road Rash still holds up today. But I wouldn't give it like a full-fledged like recommendation or anything like that. I think this is gonna, for me, be a light recommend. Like I think if you enjoy Hang On, this is just kind of more of that with a little more violence. But like I said, like after playing this for like an hour and a half, like it just kind of started to lose its charm. And you are just literally playing the same stages over and over and over again. You know, we talked about the steep difficulty curve, which also leans into grinding. So if like this is something you want to complete and you want to unlock all the bikes to see how they feel or how fast they are, you're going to be playing this for a while, and it's going to be a grind. Is this like a true racing game that I think like if you enjoy racing games that you're going to enjoy Road Rash? Not really, but like the combat elements make it feel nice. And like one of the things I forgot to mention when we were talking about the gameplay is just like the sense of speed that you do get when you like go over a hill, or sometimes when you like are able to like jump over a hill and you like gain some height and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like there is kind of like this feeling of like, oh man, like I'm going really fast.
Yeah.
And that's just something you like when we talk about like a game like Super Hang On or something, like you don't really get the same sense of feeling. Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's cool. Like just going back to, I guess, the development and even where this game kind of came from. The fact that EA kind of went out of their way to establish a new genre that would go on to like influence a ton of action sports games is commendable. Like it's crazy that EA was, like we were talking about earlier, was experimenting with this kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I have a soft spot for this game. Like I said, I was excited to come back to it, and then even playing it, I was just like, for that first initial hour, I was like, yeah, hell yeah. But after that, kind of play the 5 tracks and you're in and out. That's what I would say. So yeah, it would be a light recommend for me. Chris, take us home.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the reason you find it getting a light recommend is the reason I would give it a light not recommend, almost a full not recommend. Is because you get those 5 tracks, you get in and out, and then you get to the next series, and it's just more of the same. And you could get there by not finishing first in any of those races, making that advancement seem empty and hollow. And now you really can't go back unless you turn the game off and you turn it back on again. It feels really half-baked. And if you like the game back then and you get back to it, I'm sure you'll get a nostalgia burst. You'll enjoy it. But after like 30 minutes of playing it, I almost asked myself, like, why am I playing this? What's the point of this? Which, of course, you can ask yourself that question for any video game, really. But I walked away from it. I turned it off. I bought the game. I put it in my JVC XI because I'm a hipster, I guess. And after I turned it off, I had no inclination to want to go back and play it again. And I think I hate to say there are better experiences, because you could say that about a lot of games, that, you know, the derivative nature of video games is to improve upon a previous formula. But I think sometimes when you make a game, that when you play it, you're going to want to go back to it, and you can't say there's another version later on that is better And even if you can say that, you'll still want to go back to that version. Like there's better games, I think, than the original Donkey Kong, but I could be like, I'd love to go back and play the original Donkey Kong. I think in a technical sense, well, I think Super Mario World is a better game than the original Super Mario Brothers. But I would still say I have a great time playing Super Mario Brothers. Like every level is varied, it changes, it develops. And this game is asking you for your investment to play this for 5 levels. Not the 5 levels, like 5 times on 5 laddered tiers. And it's not worth that. I don't think it's worth that at all. You'll get that quick burst where it's like, oh, this is okay, but like go look at Road Rash for the PS1 or Saturn and ask yourself, why wouldn't you rather play that? That's what this game eventually becomes. And I'd much rather play that, even with its warts, even acknowledging there's better games there. But I think that really captures the essence of what Road Rash was trying to be. And if you want that quick hit, fun arcade experience with good controls, good racing action, a good difficulty curve that has an experience that has you coming back for more, you do have those Sega racing games like Super Monaco GP, like Super Hang On, like an Outrun, that I think can scratch that itch better than Road Rash does. It's a novelty that this game is really proposing the gamer to love the novelty it's putting out there. And the initial feeling is like, yeah, this is fun. But once that novelty wears off, you just realize it's a mediocre racing game with really nothing more behind it. So that's why I'd say I'm just going to go say, no, I don't recommend it. But of course, as you say, I mean, it's okay to like a video game. I think where Road Rash ends up going later is better. I need to revisit that. But this is just them figuring it out. I think that's completely evident. And once they start to realize there's more, like they can do more than just propose a novelty where you get to knock people off bikes, that they can put a bigger game behind it. Then Road Rash really starts to capture its identity. So right now I'd say,
that's fair.
No, I don't recommend it.
Wouldn't you know, I said this was going to be a quick episode, but here we are. Patrons are going to eat this one up because this is going to be severely cut down for the main feed. Yeah. Thanks for coming on, man. Was really happy. I mean, you've been on the docket for this one for years now at this point, so I was excited to finally get to this one. Excited to play this game, excited to talk to you about it. Where can people hear what you do on the internet?
Well, thank you, Keith. Thank you for having me back
course.
on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Love talking shop, love talking video games. But if you want to hear more of my maybe lovely, not so lovely voice, be subjective. I don't give a shit. You can find us over at Retro Hangover, where me and my co-host Shane, we have a show about retro video games, as you could probably assume, where we talk about a game at 10 years or older. Sometimes we talk about various other topics like consoles, and very rarely we talk about personalities. But we do that over there. We also have top 5 lists called The Flight that run every other week for our main show. We also have a show that's coming out that's on our Patreon right now that Keith is part of. It's going to be coming to the main feed not too long from now, called The King of Games. So if you want to hear us, want to hear a bunch of grown people yell at each other about 26-year-old video games, because this is going to be about 1999, you can go over there and we will be, you will hear a bunch of people get super upset about video games, and it's a great time. And I get all depressed, and it's great. So head on over to check out Retro Hangover at our link tree, which is linktr.ee/Retro Hangover, and look to see you there. In fact, you can hear Keith on a recent episode, as he has talked about with Sonic R. He said that game was his favorite, and he can't wait to play more of it, especially after Road Rash.
Lies, damn lies.
Well, there's only one way for them to find out.
Yeah,
Keith.
Absolutely. Go check out all of that stuff on the very podcast feed that you are listening to. Podcast feed, podcast app. Talking is hard. Yeah, everything Retro Hangover does is great. I'm sure you guys already know. You're probably already very familiar with Chris. So next week on the show, fighting game fanatics can rejoice. I am entering that realm once again. Joining me will be Command List Commander Raging Demon.
Yes.
To talk about another relic of the 90s, of course, possibly something that shouldn't have been a franchise at all. It is, of course, the satirical Clay Fighter. So until then, make sure you guys take care of yourselves and always remember, don't forget it. It's okay to like a video game.